What's up, y'all? Cool. Happy Saturday. Another one bites the dust. I'm excited. We're going on over six, seven, eight. Seven's a little scary just because it'd be eaten. I was thinking about the numbers, but I agree. Uh, with the statement, I'm excited to dive back into the conversation. From my understanding, Mikhail's Wi-Fi is out. Otherwise, he'd be on. But it's okay. We so that if he gets it up, he will come back. But he's been on the phones. Otherwise, he'd use his phone, I think. But yeah, so six was innocent mistakes. Seven was when righteousness goes wrong. And then chapter eight was the end of self-betrayal. These eight, I'm going to, yeah. But I'd love to hear your perspective, love. And then following week, we'll get into stage three. But
All right.
I know you're sick. So if you want to kick it off and just be quick with it, it's okay.
You can go ahead
All
and
right,
kick it
perfect.
off today.
Perfect, darling. Perfect.
Fine with you.
It's totally fine with me.
All right. I'll
Don't
be
mind at
here.
all. I might get up here just a wee bit just because the coffee was not ready and I smell it, which means it's about to get off. I've got a French press.
That's okay.
It's a French press, so you familiar?
Yeah, you got to do the thing where you go like this
It's
and
a
it
really
goes
good
like
one.
that.
Yeah, well, sort of, but you don't have to push it down.
What?
It's more so a mechanism you just put on the stove, so you don't heat the water first. You put the water in the bottom, then you put it on the stove, the fire heats up the water, then it goes through a filtration system. It's kind of like that's the pressing pot, but there's none there to press. It's just put it on the stove and let it do its thing.
Science is pressing it
Does that
in.
make sense?
Science is pressing it in.
It takes a lot of patience. I ain't got it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm with
Anyways, I love
you.
chapter six and seven. Thought they went perfectly together. What's really crazy is I had an amazing conversation with a friend of mine who I had to have a difficult conversation just because we did not see eye to eye on a couple of things and it's led to ill treatment to one another. But what we did is we talked about it, and in there we talked about intentionality. And although intentionality is amazing, you know what I say all the time, you can get on a plane with the intention to go to New York, but if you hop on the plane to go to LA, my friend, you're on the opposite side of the country. So I just got a little tired of the constant aspect of, yeah, it was not my intention. And although I understand intentionality might be in the right place, it's got to match with the actions. Otherwise, what the are we doing? Anyways, no, that's real life. So I thought it was kind of wild how I'll stop talking in the British accent. Although I do pretty cool with it, I know it. I think that if I spend some time out there, I can be assimilated and accepted.
Like get a real accent from a real country. Pick the country you like the best accent and then just go for it, you know?
No, no, I'm really thinking about it. Especially because we have some business partners out there, and then on top of it, like just the British accents, I could listen to them talk all freaking day. So, did not know. I mean, Latin people are everywhere. Didn't know that there was a good demographic of like Latin people in the UK, yeah,
Yeah,
where they speak Spanish very fluently and they speak like British English.
yeah, there's a
I
healthy
think that'd
population.
be my weakness there. Find me a little Latina.
I'm screaming. Yeah, there was a
But
lot of
like
my
literally, I would lose my mind, I think. I don't think that the good Lord knew to put me in Texas because I would act out of pocket, I think. So I'm gonna avoid that area for now. I'm still building some disciplines and we'll be okay once we But innocent mistakes. Uh I like, I don't know, sometimes I have what I've learned is that people have differences of perspectives when it comes to suffering, right? Like boom. When like in some books, people talk about how suffering is not a thing. And then in other books, people talk about suffering being inevitable. The Bible, it says that we suffer in the way that our Savior did for the glory and honor of like what that can do for not only ourselves, but how we do that for others. So like it kicking off talking about no one sets out to suffer. I do agree with that. I think that like as human beings, um our nature is to excuse me our nature is to take the least of route or excuse me, take the route of least resistance and no one likes to suffer. I've heard mentors tell me, pain is inevitable, pain is or suffering is optional. But I think that you have to be willing to suffer in order to get to the other side. Um, and I loved how she was kind of prefacing the entire chapter of Innocent Mistakes saying, and yet after all of our efforts, one of the few certainties of human life is that we all suffer. And she and like we asked this like why is that? And I think it's a part of like the human existence. Like there's a reason why we have to go through it so that we can become who we're called to be in it. And it was just kind of weird because she talked about and Dante calls the sins of incontinence. Now, I know incontinence to be a term that in the medical field we use to talk about like an involuntary release of urine. So I was like, what are we saying here? Um, because I was a little confused about exactly why she was bringing this up. But she explained that incontinence in Dante's means an inability to control an aspect of one's behavior. So it's the same type of perspective. It's just in a different context. But like in the medical sense, if you got incontinence, you can't control your bladder. Like that thing just goes. You know what I'm saying? So, and the way Dante was using it in his or in his book was talking about an inability to control the aspect of one's behavior. And I don't know if it's an inability. I think it's an unwillingness. So I was kind of like battling this kind of concept while I was starting to read this chapter. And then throughout it, I started understanding that it's not that, again, it's our intention to, but a lot of the times we're just learning as we go. And experience gives us that ability to understand when we were allowing some subconscious behaviors to take place and mistakes to be a result of that versus being more intentional and prepared beforehand that usually comes with experience to know how to act and how to do certain things or where to put yourself, the environments you step in, the conversations you have, how you communicate in those conversations, and what it is you choose to focus on, aka picking and choosing your battles, understanding what's more important, what isn't. I think that was something that like I was starting to grasp as I read through the chapter. But innocent errors gosh, when it comes to suffering, I just like I see every adult as like a little grown kid. It hurts my heart because at the end of the day, she says we know we're hurting, so it seems logical that we did something unwise. We're not sure what. This confusion isn't pleasant, it's a mild form of suffering. Like all suffering, it stems from believing things aren't true, but these are insidious lies, aspects of cultural training and assumptions so deeply entrenched we don't even realize they exist. In this chapter, we're going to go through looking through them. So what's wild is like this whole past week is like this is the reading. Like I've also been like we had a sermon and it was right in tune with what I talked about with people. Like the perception of reality is more real than reality itself for people at times, right? And your perception is reality. So if you believe things to be true or not true, it affects your behavior and actions that you take, and that essentially creates the reality that you live in. So um, when I think about psychological suffering in an innocent way, it's not that it's like we want to suffer. It's just the fact that sometimes we don't know how to handle the emotional hurt. So we do things that are unwise in order to avoid it, to take that route of least existence. Are you picking up what I'm putting down right now? Is this making sense? Okay. Because
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, bro, Marcus, you're kind of smart, but you're also like, I've just been learning. No, but I've just been learning throughout the years. Like I took psychology in college. Shout out UT. I also just did my thing in terms of consistently personally developing myself through years and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like literally, this is not an exaggeration or hyperbole in personal development, going to
Mm.
seminars, reading books, taking courses. So like as I call them like gathering the puzzle pieces together and learning how to lay them out and put them into place so that this big picture is formed. What I'm starting to recognize is that we have to be willing to understand our psychological state of mind so that we can operate in a more intentional way to become the person that we're wanting to be. Otherwise, we're going to constantly do things that are unwise or incognitive to the person that we know we desire to become. The more that you know, the more that you can't unknown. You become, yeah, like that's very black and white, but it's very true. Like I don't think people recognize this, right? Like the
You
more
sound like Samuel Jackson in Boondocks. The unknown is the known known.
how dare you? No. No, but that's real though. Like
He made sense though, and
I
it makes
tell
sense.
yeah, the like one of the things I would tell people when they got started in direct sales and I was mentoring them is that once you know, and you just don't know what you don't know. But when you know it, you can't unknow it. And sometimes this causes a rift in somebody's psychological state of identity because they know the things that they were unaware of previously that they are now choosing consciously to avoid or ignore. And that causes, it's literally called cognitive dissonance. And there's a mental suffering that occurs because you're not doing what you know you need to be doing, or you're doing what you know that you're not supposed to be doing in order to become who you want to, or you have the vision of actually stepping into. So I loved how she said this because at the end of the day, that unwise behavior sometimes comes from hurt. And if you can give yourself grace and love in the way that I believe God gives us grace and love, then you can literally operate in a more authentic sense of being and overcome the innocent errors. And when you do fall or make a mistake, there's no pride. You can literally just own up to it. Like it's okay to apologize, right? It's okay to recognize that you were in the wrong. I think people struggle with this because they have this conditional form of understanding of love that society tells you you got to do X, Y, and Z and have a resume in place in order to earn somebody's respect or love. And that's not how God works. God gives that unconditionally. And yet sometimes we're our hardest critics. We won't give ourselves our own love or grace or forgiveness because we did X, Y, and Z, or we failed to do X, Y, and Z. And therefore, we're just, you suck. And you're causing like the suffering content of your own being. But I liked how she put that in an innocent type of way. My fault. I'm going in right now, but I'm just talking about like when it came to the suffering self-sabotage, like if you recognize that um and that's what I meant. Like if you recognize that the suffering of your self-sabotage is keeping you from who you need to become, that's literally what she talked about in terms of your unrecognized split in our belief system, where she talked about it from Dr. I can never pronounce that name. Dr. Jekyll's or Jickles. You know how to pronounce that?
Jackals.
Okay, Jekyll's. Dr. Jekyll spoke about it. And essentially doing things that blatantly contradict your own intentions is a sign that somewhere inside of us, a civil war is in progress. I think there's a spiritual warfare always happening. And if you decide to show up unprepared, I don't know what you expect. Which is why I feel like we have to grow ourselves, we have to develop. And that's why I read my word. It's the sword. It helps me be intentional and get rid of the false assumptions that we essentially continuously hold on to. Not because it's like it's beneficial, but sometimes it's because we as human beings hate change. We just want to hold on to what was or what's familiar rather than letting go. And I feel like that's where the war takes place. And once you just like it's all good, like let's progress and become something different. I think I've been learning how to operate in a more healthy way through these things, making the mistakes and learning from them rather than condemning myself. Um, I like um I like how she again like she brings it always back to like the physical, emotional, and spiritual. She said, physically, I felt an overall tension and a drop in my physical energy. In fact, my throat began to feel a bit sore and my head started aching. Emotionally, I began to feel sulky and then angrily attacked myself for sulking, telling myself to cheer up, damn it. And then spiritually, instead of freedom, the thought I can't stop brought a sense of heaviness and captivity. Bro, I just had a conversation with one of my friends yesterday. Um, he was struggling with a couple things and he fell back into some stuff that he had been clean and away from for some time. And he was just dealing with shame and anger and frustration. And I told him all those things in terms of the emotions are valid, but that shame is a false identity. And we brought it back into his belief in Jesus and essentially why when you fall, it's not a matter of if you're going to, because you're a human being, you're bound to make a mistake. But the the internal like friction that you feel is a sign that you're no longer who you once were because you used to be able to do all those things without giving a damn. I used to do that like I really be thinking about your boy was outside. I was acting way out of pocket and I thought I had my ish together. And now, like, even the thought of me doing like a fraction of the things that I used to do literally irks me inside. Like, I can't do it anymore because I'm just no longer who I once was. So, as you step into this new being, it's just understanding that I love how she said spiritually, relating that with freedom. Like, if you understand that you do have freedom, you don't have to hold on to the shackles that you once held you free. I've heard somebody say it because I always just make it about like my faith that like the sin you hold on to does nothing for you. Like you don't owe your sin anything. Like it doesn't benefit you, and nor is it going to compliment you or make you feel any better because once the feeling like flees you, you're back to where it is that you were just trying to escape from. That's not real freedom. You're holding on to shackles that you were once let go of. I kind of see it as like you're in a cell and the door gets open because you had the keys and you decide whether or not you want to step out of the open door or if you want to close the door again. And I see a lot of people just close the door, or instead of moving, they just stay in the cell with the door wide open and they just don't want to take the step. I'm gonna go get my coffee. One sec. Sorry, recording.
And today, recording, I'll share with you a brief story about cognitive dissonance. I don't really know what that means. I do, but I don't. Oh my God. Oh my God, the chair is moving by itself. It's a ghost. Now, if it moves again, you know, thank God that cross is on the. All right, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, this thing look straight.
Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort experienced when holding two or more contradictory beliefs, values, or behaviors, causing a drive to resolve the inconsistency. Aha, I did know what that meant.
No, you
That's
did. You did. It's just, it's a big word. And I don't think people recognize how often, especially when they start on a growth or self-improvement journey, spiritual journey, how they
that.
go through this. And unless they decide to choose, they're going to constantly experience that dissonance. It's real
Just like
life
you
thing.
said when you were going out.
I see it with people all the time,
Yeah.
especially with those who ask for my accountability. They, and I be telling people, I'm like, are you sure?
Are you sure?
I don't think
I
you
not
are.
want this because I'm about to be on that ass
I'm
for
beyond white on rice. You
white
know what
old.
I'm saying?
Built to
I
ass.
have a one of the guys that we work with, or he's the owner of the trust company. He goes, "You can be on the ass like a cheap suit." I don't understand what that means, to be honest.
Is
Like
that
a
your
cheap.
dog?
Yeah, that was nope. That was it was Casper.
It was moving your chair too.
I
If you
don't
look
know.
back at the recording, I was like, oh my God.
No, it was definitely Kobe.
Ah, that's stupid.
No, but cognitive dissonance is a real thing.
Yeah,
And once it was wild because the first like 3 years of my personal development journey, I wasn't intentional. Like I was a smart person. I understood the importance of accountability. I was just not a successful individual. I didn't implement it, meaning I knew the things, I just didn't do the things. All the people that were where I was at, they told me read the books. And what I did was I picked up one book, Think and Grow Rich, and it took me over a year to get through two chapters because I would just wouldn't read. And like I'm going to these seminars, I'm hearing all these things, and then I'm experiencing all these things as I'm applying them, and then I read the book finally for the first time in a month, and I'm like, if I would have just read the book, I would have been able to encounter this experience or this obstacle in a different perspective because it's in the pages. You know what I'm saying? Dude, you look like you're struggling. You okay?
nah, bad.
Yeah. It's allergies.
Yeah, I was try I like I get off of work pretty late, so I stay up pretty much all night.
Where are
And
you serving at?
huh?
Where are you serving at?
I quit.
I'm not gonna lie, but I was like, let me go see you. I want to go grab some food.
Cognitive. Oh my God.
Cognitive dissonance.
Thank you. I can't say it right now.
I was not at one. And
No, the what did she say in the book? The duality, the something duality. Oh, freaking hell. I have it in my notes. But yeah, it's just like the split in my brain. I'm like, it's tough, man. But yeah, I'm sick as hell. I decided to go take my trash out. It was super windy. I should have known that all that pollen would just flush in my nose, flood
I
in my
think,
nose. And this lady comes to my job. She's coughing all over the place. I know she's not covering her mouth. And then my other coworker was sick. So I'm like, I think this has just been a buildup. And now I am half dead. So
yeah.
here we
No,
are.
I
I
understand
had a
the
date
struggle
today
there.
too. I had to cancel the date. I was looking
You
forward to
you had a
that.
date?
I did. And I was like, we got to reschedule for next week, bro. I'm going to be blowing my nose in the food. Like, not cute at all.
Dun, 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 dun.
Uh,
I'm
okay.
gonna ask. We're gonna circle back to the dating concept at the end of this call because I have a question
Okay. Bad.
from a woman's perspective. Okay, but anyways, walking back the cat, I do that pretty often as well. Didn't know there was a term for it, but just replaying certain situations and seeing how to improve is how I saw it. You know what I'm saying, or how I read it. Um, I tell people all the time, like you have to take inventory. When you take inventory, you create a plan, you prepare to execute the plan, you execute, and then you stop and you analyze what went well, what didn't, what can improve, what does need to change, what doesn't need to change, and then you do it again. It's just like a consistent cycle, and then you get better throughout the process. And I think you can move. She said, she was talking about, I don't know, it was kind of weird, like her talking about her eating her eggs. But I understood in like trying to remove the error of innocence, like not knowing what you're doing wrong and like becoming wise. Like, all right, find out, like figure it out. Kobe Bryant said, just like to relate it back to the books that we talked about, Kobe Bryant would be like, dude, figure that shit out. Like, go and go and do the things so you know. Boom. Um, okay. So she said this, and it was really cool. She goes, as you walk back the cat on your own errors of innocence, you too may find that many of your untrue beliefs are built into your culture. It can be frightening to let go of those beliefs. Won't people think you're wrong? Won't they judge you? And then she said, yes, my dear reader, they will. I had somebody put a note on Instagram. They're like, dude, I just want to be around friends that just don't judge. And I responded to her and I said, hey, human beings judge all the time. It's important to surround yourself around people who will choose love rather than judgment because judgment will be an initial response, but you need people around you that are willing to choose otherwise. I catch myself in situations or circumstances where the first thought is that of culture, just because I've been alive for almost 3 decades and I've been programmed to think certain things. Over the last 10 years, however, I've been literally washing my brain, aka brainwashing, in order to reprogram how I construct my reality. Because at the end of the day, you've built up a program in your brain through the years of schooling, your experiences, the friend groups, and the culture that you lived in. Obviously, our experience living in America is different than if we grew up in India, right? The culture shaped how we experience things. But as we grew up, we travel, we figure out other experiences. We then have to deconstruct what was built to rebuild something different. So, over the last 10 years, that's what I've been doing, but I've had to go back and understand, like, damn, I was actually wrong in that situation. Or damn, even though I thought X person did this to me, it was me really my own perception of what was going on, that they didn't even give a damn because they were just worried about their damn selves, and I just made it bigger in my head than it was to anyone else's head. I don't know how many times we do that as human beings too. So she goes, as you spot the innocent errors that have been damaging your life, as you dissolve them from observation and inquiry, you'll soon end up breaking the rules. I was like, yes, Martha. Yes. She goes, which rules? I don't know. But the people around you who believe in these rules may find your behavior dubious and even wicked. You'll feel 1,000 times freer and they won't like it. Don't you worry. This can actually be evidence you're on the right track. Amen. I got it. Bro, I got so encouraged reading this thing because I was like, yo, um, you'll learn to cope with judgment, yours and other people's. Things are about to get radical. And like that's the part that I feel like once you get to that sweet zone, oh, it's game over. Like I finally felt that I was in this space about maybe like 6 to 8 months ago, where I like fully was like, Lord, it is all yours. I don't give a damn. Like, let them think what they want. Let them call me crazy. I'm here. I'm all the way invested in this thing. Like, I'm all in on this plan that you have for my life, whatever that looks like. Like, so much so that I literally lost everything that I built on my own accord. And now people literally are like, dude, what the hell do you do? And like, how do you do it? And you're just different. I had a friend at church. I was telling them what my day was looking like on today, and they're like, "Bro, you do a lot." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're always busy." I'm like, "I'm productive." The matter of perspective. And then she was like, "Well, don't forget, like rest is important." I was like, "I do agree, and I implement rest for sure, but I also am purpose driven, and I know exactly what I need to be doing and how I'm doing it. I ensure I get my rest, but I'm also focused on picking up my shovel." We kind of left it at that. But at the end of the day, like people are not going to understand fully because you're breaking the rules of what the customs and the norms are. And I don't know. I love that feeling. Like I don't want to be considered normal. Like SpongeBob. Like, hi, I'm normal. You know the episode I'm talking about or no? Normal Bob. Okay, well, like there was this episode where Squidward was like, "Dude, can you just be like a normal sponge?" And like SpongeBob got so felt of guilt and sadness from the judgment that he literally turned into a smooth like sponge. And every time he would have an interaction, he'd be like, "Hey, how are you? It's nice weather we're having. I'm fine. I'm great." That's
My
such a
God, I remember that. Did freaking Squidward go insane because he's like, no, I want the regular SpongeBob
I
back.
want the unique SpongeBob. I want him. And like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be normal. All I know is if your life and your habits and your actions and your words look like everyone else, then you have fallen into a capacity that you are less than living in. And I think that does nothing for anybody at all. Like we're called with specific gifts and unique talents. It doesn't mean to be obnoxious or annoying. It just means to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what she's trying to get you to recognize is that you cannot be intentionally integritous in unity if you allow judgment and self-sabotage through your own error and mistakes based on cognitive dissonance and things that you don't understand or things that are not aligned with culture to get in the way. That was my key point takeaway. Thanks for coming to the Tech Talk. But no, like literally, that was like the biggest part that I was starting to recognize because, like, sometimes when we're focused in on this aspect, right? Um, when we're focused in on like this specific chapter, we kind of get lost. But I try to compare it to the entirety. Like, what is the main overall purpose of the book? The main overall purpose of the book is so that we can find a way to live authentically in integrity, right? And on top, it's helped grow my understanding of being integritous. I always just, like I said last week, I always just felt like it was doing the right thing when no one was looking. But it's also being yourself in unity so that as you're doing the right thing all times, you can be yourself at all times. You don't have to switch. I used to tell people this all the time. I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be switching hats. Like, I understand there's a way to communicate in specific times and places, environments. 100%. I agree with that. But when it comes to you as an individual and being authentic, like have being authentic within your life, you should be yourself in every aspect that you step in, and that should never change. This is why I could be bartending, but I'm literally talking about the overall person of who I know I am, not of with the role I'm doing. And this is why people want to step some type of way and feel disrespect or rudeness. Oh, we don't talk about it. I don't care about damn customer service. I'm a human being, and you are a human being as well. And let's actually treat each other as such. Um, but yeah, that willingness just to let go and learning to cope with the judgment that is inevitable from yourself and others. Oh yeah, that thing is like really exciting to me. So I was like, bro, shout out Martha for how she ended the whole chapter because I think that's really important. Most people struggle with this concept. When I say most people, I'm including myself. Okay, I've kind of been talking a long time. I'm sorry, but it's okay. It's just us two, right? Yeah. Hold on. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, you finally apologize. Let's go. You need to face him. Okay. When righteousness goes wrong. Ugh, honestly freaked me out.
What part? The righteousness.
Um, I guess like without reading just the title itself, just like how does righteousness go wrong? But I think it moved like it helped me understand how we're all capable of going after a high standard, although we fall short of perfection. And I think it's like an acceptance of understanding that you're not going to be perfect in that
Oh,
regard.
wow. You so my perspective on that was again the same quote I will be quoted for the rest of my life. The road to hell is paved with good intentions because there's always going to be like the idea of being righteous and wanting to live by righteousness, but it doesn't mean that that's what is being called for the situation. I think a lot of people fail to realize the duality of life is there always going to be a balance between negative and positive, and the negative has to happen. So sometimes the righteous movement, although in good faith and positivity, can lead to bad circumstances or negative consequences just because, like science,
This if it goes unchecked. I agree.
it just can't. I'm not unchecked, just in general. Like this is we do not have any control over what God needs us to do
Yeah.
or like we only can live in our purpose, but there are things that we don't understand, the actions we take that have consequences that unfortunately seem very negative, but may have like a positive. It's like a constant thing. Positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. So that's how I took it.
Yeah. Okay. No, I understand that. And I think and that was just I was talking about like when I first just read the title, you know what I'm saying? But I do agree in terms of intentions. It's literally why I brought up the whole plane thing. Because I had a whole conversation with a friend of mine who were actions were just not aligning with intentions, and I knew the intentions were in a bad place, but I'd still had to communicate about the actions that were taking place despite the intentions. And I feel like um when he talked about when she talked about the study from the psychologist Jonathan in terms of the logical and the irrational parts, or excuse me, the rational parts of our brain, how our reflexive reactions perceive anything unfamiliar as just plain wrong, and familiar things feel right, like all the time. That is subjective between people, meaning like what's familiar to you might be unfamiliar to me. And then it also comes down to a point of like, okay, so effective communication needs to take place in order for us to see where we're all at. And do I think we as a society effectively communicate in today's world? Absolutely not. Like, and the powers that be that constructed what happened with COVID, it was purposeful. Division and inability for family and households, friends, communities to resolve conflict and situations in a healthy manner. Like sometimes the unfamiliar might be perceived as a threat or an endangerment to one's safety. Sometimes the familiarity might be seen as a confirmation when it's really just to point the fact of you might need to change. Does that make sense or no? Yeah, so that's kind of how I took it. I liked how they brought that in that example in terms of perceiving unfamiliar and familiar things, how they get received. It says when our righteous mind is in control, we lose the way of integrity and become weirdly, obsessively self-contradictory, like proponents of world peace who advocate war against anything who disagrees with them, because violence and the righteous mind are closely linked. I don't call destructive minds sins of violence, as Dante says. I think of them as errors of righteousness. They are psychological mistakes we make when our irrational rejection of the unfamiliar takes over our thinking. And I think she's just calling, it's literally this book has been reminding me of the power of awareness. Like just like you've got to become aware of the things that you might be doing on a subconscious biasy, or things that you are cognitively choosing in order to protect thyself. When my friend, you might need a change. Okay, anyways, I agreed with the talking about violence. We see advocates of peace going after that throughout all of history, utilizing violence, some of which actually using peace, still ending in them being violently killed. Like it's actually crazy when you think about it. I think of like MLK or um what's his name?
Malcolm X,
Yeah, Gandhi.
JFK,
JF
Gandhi. Gandhi was murdered?
or if he
Assassinated.
wasn't murdered, he was attacked. Was he not? I just know he
Well,
led one of the biggest peace movements in India,
yeah.
the British regime, and then there's a couple times where I like they used violence to stop it. Maybe I don't remember. That's a good Google question. Let me see.
About it. Gandhi. Oh my God, he was assassinated.
He was?
Oh, but he was shot 3 times at close range by Nutharam Godse. Sorry, recording for the accent. A Hindu extremist who blamed Gandhi for the partition of India and believed he was too accommodating towards Muslims. Wow, the assassination occurred while Gandhi was walking to a prayer meeting at Birla House. Boy, they'll assassinate just about anybody who has a powerful voice. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that's the point. Like, even though people don't advocate or use violence, it still somehow it ends up there. And like, I saw something all the time. They were like, when did the world get so evil? Like, it's kind of been evil. The the third person on the entire planet killed the fourth. Like, when there were four people on the planet, Cain killed
Then there were three,
25% of the population. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's actually surreal to me. So.
right? Some of y'all are descendants of Cain, okay?
No, it's real life. Well, no, not anymore. They um they had a third son, Seth, and then the ark came about and they killed off all of Cain's descendants because they were so evil. And then Noah, we're all descendants of Noah to an extent.
Damn.
She said, damn.
Damn, that's crazy, boy.
No, it is crazy though when you think about it. Okay. Hold on. Okay, I liked when she broke down the three different types of lies. Black lies being deliberate, premeditated deception. White lies, the social contract leads to social fibs. Like everybody be doing white lies, I believe. And then what was the third one?
Was
Oh,
it?
the great lies.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, where's the third one? I thought I seen that. Yeah, but I like how she was essentially calling us to have truth and choosing not to lie at all. Doing the best that you can to consistently speak on truth. But that will rock your world because you'll recognize how much you actually do consistently lie or have a tendency to. Um, she said, just notice for yourself where, why, and to whom you lie. If you're stuck in a society where people are oppressing you or you're trapped by a psychopath, go ahead and keep lying to these dangerous people, at least for now. But stop lying to yourself. I was like, clock that, sis. Fire. Shock of truth. Um, I think we all need help with like real life truth. And she talked about enlisting professional help if you feel like you're approaching unbearable truth or trauma. I also believe that like the basis of truth requires you to be around other people who are willing to lean into the uncomfortability of truth with you. So I agreed with what she was saying here, right? It'll uncover the truth of your inner teacher, like she brought up from the first couple chapters there. But I feel like we should all get help in order to do this in a more profound way. Um, and then the hell of self-blame literally was something that I feel like yeah, my bad. I kind of already got into self-betrayal when it comes to chapter 8. I just didn't tell you. Is that okay? I didn't tell you I was talking about chapter 8, but I figured you knew I was there. But like where she brought up Jesus. And it's kind of crazy because like I was literally as I was reading 6 and 7, I was thinking about the parts of unconditional love that we refuse to give ourselves. I've been just having the experiences throughout the week that I've been reading too. So like for her saying that Jesus may represent the part of us that's unconditionally loving. Three aspects of ourselves, the noble and the loving, are the qualities we portray when we leave our integrity. This leads to deep, wordless suffering, a frozen in anguish that continuously punishes us. Our deepest self-betrayals have their roots in our childhood. Um, And she brought up how the Bible does talk about how Jesus hates when adults mislead children into sin, or they treat children in a negative way. But we've all betrayed and hurt at least one child, our young selves. I was like, because I thought she was gonna say that like we all have seen or we all been hurt by somebody as a young version of ourselves. I had to reread this the sentence because I was like, yo, that's real life. I did this one exercise at a personal development event where this guy, he only had one arm and one finger, no legs, no left arm. And he went and guided us through a meditation exercise where we sat and we breathed, and then we would envision our 6-year-old self, 5-year-old self. And then he had us communicate with that person and literally like visualize hugging and loving on that younger self. But sometimes we just disregard them because we're like, oh, we have to grow up or we have to develop into who we need to be. So I think that was powerful for her to like bring that sense of understanding that if we all have that part of us that's unconditionally loving, when did we stop loving ourselves and our younger versions of who we were? So just to stay in truth with that. Um, she goes, accepting responsibility is honest, but blaming ourselves when we did nothing wrong is cruel, deceptive, and devastating. And I've learned to like let go of certain things. The only reason why I struggled with this a lot growing up is because, yo, I'm the oldest. And seeing the struggles that my siblings have gone through and me feeling like this level of adult responsibility that I was never supposed to be given from a get-go, just coming from a broken household and having to do what I needed to do for my sisters and my brother. I took a lot of blame on things that were never mine to begin with, and it took a long time to heal from that. So I'm grateful for the growth that I've been able to have in my life up to this point. Um, but walking in the authenticity of truth allows you to uncover those lies that you've been telling yourself that, hey, this was your fault or you're to blame, and you're able to walk in a more integritous way, which I appreciate it because I'm like, this is actually the lie, right? She goes, Journey to the Frozen Lake. What was the last lie you told? I was like, dude, did you get the book yet or no? Okay, dude, I need you to get the book and go through some of these exercises because it's real life. I'm like, dude, I was thinking about you while I was doing them. I was like, dude, I
Yeah,
think Amani would love this crap, like as well. Like being able to write it down in the moment as your brain is being um intrigued by the concepts and the truth behind it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I was gonna get it yesterday and then I gave up because I was like, I just need to lay down. But I did when she said that question, I was like, bruh, yesterday. I lied yesterday. My friend was like, oh, if you want to meet up with us, yeah, just hit me up. And I said, I'll hit you up when I get out of this place. Never hit her up. Never intended to hit her up. Knew that was gonna happen.
Mm.
If she ever sees this recording, which I doubt, because she's
It
just
says, what were you hiding with this lie? From who were you hiding it? What do you fear the person slash these things would do to you if they knew the
sorry,
truth you
Tammy.
were hiding? What do you fear this person, these things would think of you if you knew the truth you were hiding? What do you fear this person, such these people would feel about you if you knew the truth that you were hiding? I'm like, yo, this is the first time I'm reading a book where they're having like, you got to recognize the truth behind what it is you are deciding to continuously accept as truth when they are actually lies. And you're never going to get to that next level until you let go of those lies and not in a small fashion, but in a drastic one. Right? She made an amazing like call to action. She said, get honest, get help, kill all cowardice, and keep moving. Like your recognition of the mistakes that you've made, either your fault or not, have and should not keep you stagnant. Like you can't do it on your own, but you need to get things in motion and like stop being a coward. Like be brave and courageous. You can do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in it. I feel like I need to read Dante's Inferno. as I was reading this whole thing because I'm like I'm practically reading the book. And like when he comes face to face with Lucifer, it was just a wild um kind of interaction that I couldn't even really picture just because I wasn't reading the book. But I want to read the book now, his literature and see how those things move together. But she goes, you need to know it too. We all do. Here it is. You are infinitely worthy. You are infinitely precious. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. There is no place you don't belong. You are lovable. You are loved, and you are loved. I can't convince you of this, but you can know it for yourself. That knowledge is waiting for you just beyond the center of your own frozen soul. Um, she said something similar happened. She was talking about how like Dante was clawing his way out of the inferno of hell and how he like the difficulty of how even to do that. And she said something similar happens in our hearts when we finally acknowledge every place we've been lying. That relief that comes when you're fully honest with ourselves can take us from seemingly suffering to calm and peace, even before we change a thing in our outer lives. From here on, everything gets better. Yeah, that's my TED Talk. You're four, and then next week we'll be on chapter 9.
Very these ones were so good. These chapters, so good. So thank you for your TED Talk. It's been quite a bit of thing.
No, thanks for your discussion with me about some of these things.
Yeah, it gets real. Thank you, Seafood Hotman.
This is brought to you by the University of Texas at Austin.
First gen Longhorn.
I am.
I saw your shirt. I was like, oh, that boy ain't playing around. He want the world to know. Okay, here we go. So chapter 6, which you definitely covered. Um, she was saying that she says that our parents and siblings are our political leaders, religion, TV shows, the books we read, the YouTube videos are all filled with assumptions that grow like that's become our belief system. And we can't see them. The same reason we can't see our own eyes. They aren't just thoughts, they're the way we think. So she's starting the chapter off basically letting us know that we have belief systems from outside influences. However, there comes a time in your life where you have to investigate whether you believe these belief systems are true in order to be whole inside
Yeah.
and keep integrity. I'm glad she started it off like that because it's like getting to the root cause of why we're split in the first place. And if it's something that we heard and we are supposed to believe, then it just becomes the truth. However, without understanding if it is our like for us, then we'll always hear it and be within a battle within ourselves, which is so crazy. It's like a mental.
You okay?
Yes, I am. That just happened really fast. Okay, I'm back. Ooh, ooh, I hate being sick, bro. Okay, so then sick, still on book club. Don't give a damn. I'm in this thing. No, no voice. I don't care.
Gang.
Gang, gang. Okay, so may not believe these thoughts and they affect us. Many inexplicable feelings. Oh, man, when she said this really resonated with me hard. I was like, man, because I felt this where she says many inexplicable feelings of depression, rage, and anxiety are reactions to hidden false beliefs. Like, bruh, bruv,
Isn't
bruv.
that isn't that bruv like our bodies are literally like compasses. They let you know.
And
Anytime.
she says that throughout these next few chapters, all the way to the end when she had that spiritual journey within her own her oh God, that chapter 8 was deep. It was
Yeah.
so deep. So we will get there. I'll get there. But the the inexplicable feelings. So like yeah, our bodies actually take oh man. Our body takes the brunt of the split. And it is tough because if you're not on a journey of personal development, if you are not paying attention to how what your body is telling you, what your mind is telling you, the feelings that you get when something's wrong. If you have no clue how to deal with any of this, this is why people have so many unexplained issues or they get sick for long periods of time. She got sick for long periods of time. And not everybody knows how to or where these things come from. And without the knowledge of your body, knowing that your inner world can affect your actual body if things are not right, will cause you to to be in these things. And I always remember that feeling, inexplicable feeling of depression, anxiety, and rage and insomnia before I moved to Austin because my body was craving a change. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm gonna go because if it alleviates this pain within myself, then it's totally worth it. 6 years later, here I am on book club, something I've always wanted to do my whole life, and be in a book club. And those feelings are not, I mean, they still come back every now and then, but they don't come from the same things they once did. And that is just shows so much growth. It's like rooting out. I like to think of it I don't know if I said this on the last call, but I like to think of it as like I envision it like an investigation board with the red string, but it's so thick it kind of looks like a ball of yarn, like a big like a web inside of a room, right? And you find a piece of string, you follow it all the way to the investigation board where you have found the target or you have found like the piece of the story, the victim, the whatever the heck it is, the murderer, if you will. And that's how I think of it as we are going through this book, finding these trails, walking back the cat, which to me kind of sounds a little dirty. I don't know. I just the whole time I was like, walking back the cat. Okay, Martha, Miss Morbid Martha. Sorry, y'all. Oh my God. So then she starts talking about these assumptions can send millions of people to hell all at once and cause many people to suffer. She mentions that race people who have experienced race and class inequality understand this. Power to the people, because when you are a minority in this country and you start from a certain place and you have to like depending on who your family is, depending on how much wealth, because at the base of it's always going to be about wealth, not necessarily about racism. Racism is just something that they throw in your face to like mask, but so many people, like you said, perception becomes reality because so many people are out here like not understanding what racism induces. So it's like catch 22, catch 212, catch 22.
Please catch my two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But God, okay, here we go. I'm gonna get up. I'm just dying. I'm dying inside. It's so bad today. Okay. Uh, so here we go. So then she's talking about the people are sent to hell. And like, I wonder all the other books that we're reading for this, like, is it gonna also bring up these personal hells? Because this book, like, I definitely want to read Dante's Inferno. Uh, I want to know. It's such a like, I don't know, when did that thing
There's
come
also
out?
something I think that like we will learn going through it in a route that is like told through a story, like a
It's a
fable.
poem?
Yeah. But like it describes a deeper meaning because it's taking you through a journey on a story.
Yeah.
And like she's helping us digest what that thing means in the form of integrity. So that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like if we go and read that thing, it'll provide a sense of understanding that we don't have without it.
Side mission for next week. We're gonna read Dante's Inferno. It's actually really cool because Dante's Inferno, you know, is what modern churches used to depict hell. But prior to Dante's Inferno, there was no like depiction of hell at all. So it's really crazy that she's using this as just like constant metaphors throughout the entire book. So then, oh, she also brought up like the propaganda in the 50s. That one hurt me. Anything that's like terrorizing women always gets me hard because I already know like gets to me hard because like women have gone through so much in this world dealing with like propaganda and how women are supposed to be. But a lot of times we are just used to take care of children, have children and take care of children, do very domestic things. So in the 50s, there was the propaganda talking about the perfect wife who, is the homemaker and she takes care of the children. She stays home. She doesn't have to work, which sounds good at all. However, then there was a book that came out that women started reading. It was something about feminism or something like that. And a lot of women started having the duplicity, the split in duplicity, something like that, where now there are some women who that's not all they wanted. And it was a huge deal for them to, oh gosh. Okay. And how it was such a big deal for them to like uncover the reason for their pain. Not everybody wanted to be a housewife. Not everybody wanted to stay home and take care of the children. But because this whole like propaganda piece came out about what the suburban woman should look like, now the other book, it's so hard to imagine so many. It's not hard to imagine as a woman, but I can only imagine how these women must have felt in these circumstances because all they had was what they internally wanted and what they were told they should want. So she's like really breaking down integrity in so many forms that media is such a huge reason why people believe in what they believe in. Um, and our uninvestigated assumptions and our beliefs. These things can ruin people's lives. Like they can ruin a life if you're not too careful. You got to know what it is makes you whole because everybody's journey is so specific to them, even if it's similar to others. One of her examples of people not staying in integrity tripped me out. She's like, because you remember the egg situation with her, she already knows she doesn't want these damn eggs, but she wants the eggs because eggs are fire. I love eggs, so I could understand. Like, if you told me I was lactose intolerant, bruh, I would figure out a way to not be lactose intolerant because you're not going to get me off of cheese for nothing in the world, bro. I don't care.
Yeah, I know. A little side note, like what you were saying in terms of like media, it's literally what we were talking about last week as well. Like how like the main society, the majority are going to believe what is put in front of them because it's the seeds planted within their psyche, their psychology. But
It's
anyways, I agree with you.
so crazy, but it's so facts. Like scientists, science, psychology, sociology, all the ologies of the mind in the society are crazy. But she was talking about how she walked back the cat all the way to the moment she didn't say disappointed herself. She said something very specific. All the way to the moment where she ah like when she decided not to rest, that was her going against her own feelings. And that caused the domino effect of her eating them damn eggs. So she brings up examples of people doing that. The people who died on Mount Everest when their body told them to stop and they didn't. Our society is full of keep going. She even starts saying that in the book, like, keep going, you can make it. And, even like that book Winning was definitely hardcore on like, there's no balance. Even there's no balance, there's this, but like now, you can equate it to there's a time to go hard and there's a time to go soft, and there's not really an in between. But these people who are going to Mount Everest and their body's telling them to stop and they're trying to push for whatever expectations that they have in their head died. People who've stayed in abusive relationships. As she said, people who cut their own hair. I freaking fell out. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. She's like, bro, you should not cut your hair. You look terrible. Go get that thing cut. Stop playing around. Um, that we in chapter
I thought about
seven.
my sister.
Listen, I
She
tripped.
literally did this.
She what?
She just cut her hair one time because she was having like this identity crisis or whatever, and I thought she was playing. She sent me a whole picture. I was like, there ain't no way you just cut your hair.
Like bald it?
Almost.
Well,
It was a whole wild thing. But
love
shit,
that.
it was because of the dissonance that was happening. Anyway,
Yep.
she should have got somebody to cut it for her. Anyways,
Sometimes
she's
you have
coming back.
to just go for it because
Yeah.
at that moment you need something to alleviate the pressure. Now, in chapter seven, she talks about, oh man, the story of her at BYU. Mind you, she's from Utah, so she's Mormon. I don't know how Mormon she is now because she's a highly educated woman who teaches in the Mormon faith. In this book, she's saying that they don't want women to be working and have careers. And that is insane to me. How like oppressive certain religions can be, how oppressive certain societies. That's why I love anthropology. She even talks about an anthropologist who proved something in the that went against the Mormon Bible and got fired from BYU. And the whole reason why she had to work at BYU was because the school was going to lose accreditation if they didn't hire more female professors. Contradicting. Talk about duplicity. Talk about cognitive. Oh, God. Talk about cognitive cognitive dissonance. She is she's deciding to teach at BYU, which is a Mormon school full of kids who are like, you know what? Butt stuff doesn't count. I don't know how else to say that. And it's so funny to me because there's so many contradictories in this in like the Mormon faith in general, but at BYU especially because you're here, you're a woman, you're getting educated, you're in college, you have all these hormones, you have all these things that you want to do, and then there's certain things you just cannot do. Like she could not teach certain things even though she knows that it's the truth. So she split at this point. Even some of the women were kind of like some of the girls in the college, her students were basically almost condemning her. But she had to get hired to keep the accreditation. So it's like, where make it make sense, honestly. But she brought up how the mind will uphold a belief system, even if it's been proven wrong. She was talking about the anthropology teacher. She was talking about um, the women at the school, and then she mentions that that part of our brain is much bigger and stronger than the rational part. Dog, that is insane. So she's telling me that you can learn all these things, and there's going to be a part of your brain that will not, in any circumstances, allow you to believe something else, even if it's rational and has been proven. People want to uphold their beliefs. So if it works for you, it works for you, like whatever, your integrity. But if you find out the truth and you refuse to see it because of the belief system your mind has created and you don't want to move past it, I mean, to me, that's a problem. It's a huge problem with society in general. It's so very hard for us to move on as people, but here we are. Hell, there's things that I know for sure that I'm just like, the whole ignorance is bliss. I know ignorance is just unacceptable at the end of the day, but that thing is blissful. You feel me? Uh, sorry, sorry. Nah, sorry. Sometimes I'd rather not know, bro. And I'll be happy in my own mindset. But then again, once it's like the truth comes out, it's really hard to ignore. So hard to ignore, man. Um, but yeah, so in chapter 7, she even talks about like lying, cheating, and cheating at things and how that splits us too. Yo, when she starts talking about the freaking, was it the client that she took who was going to jail for murder, and she realized he was a complete sociopath, and he was just talking to her to figure out how he can be at peace in jail. I was like, what the hell? What is going on? Who is this lady? Like, some of her clients is wild. But she's like, I think he murdered somebody, I want to say, and he didn't have any remorse. And that is oh my God. That threw me off because I was just like, okay, talk about integrity. This man, 10 toes down, in jail, don't care.
10 toes down for real. Yeah, it is a weird concept when you think about it.
It's a weird concept, and it also makes me think of
But
like,
he's like literally aware though. So like uh, yeah,
yeah,
people like
a
that.
hundred
I don't
percent.
know. So I, in my faith, I do believe not everybody is human that we run
Okay.
into. Uh, Meaning like there's spiritual powers that be that do either possess or mold themselves to look as. That might have been one of them. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, have you ever seen that documentary? I think it's called The Night Stalker on Netflix.
Have I? I think I have, but I don't think I finished it.
He was like a serial killer. He would kill like anybody. It wasn't even like a designated type of person. Like usually there'd be patterns between serial killers, but this guy would do anyway. Older cats, younger cats. Eventually got caught, and then there was like this romanticized depiction of who he is and what he stood for. Or like fans were sending him love letters and shit while he was
Bro,
in.
that man didn't stand for nothing. He just wanted to kill people.
That's what I'm saying. But they said he was a Satanist, and it wasn't he. It wasn't they. It was him. Like he talked about doing those things.
But Satanists don't even necessarily believe in murder. That's the thing. It doesn't. Uh, I do a lot of theology research, man. And I've done a lot of research on all kinds of different religions, but you know, people are going to have their own beliefs, so that's going to be what it is. I'm not here to change anybody's beliefs in that way.
No, but I was talking about the reason why I brought him up was not for the satanic religion. It was more so the fact of how his brain was operating. Like he was totally at ease and not tripping. Like there was no remorse, kind of how you just brought.
Yeah, like this guy who murdered and went to jail, and he's like purchasing a freaking purchasing a service to help him get through it. I'm like, bro, that's insane. So, I mean, I guess there his integrity is intact. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny, bro. It's like, dang, it is intact. Huh? You know, no remorse. He's in a full alignment with what he is. Hell on earth, for sure, for sure. As she's talking about how lies split us apart, because it's like a white lie. So you don't, oh, even a white lie will cause turmoil and they have like significant consequences down the line. You don't always see it right away. So I'm like, ooh, like, oh shoot. You tell a lie, you never know what's gonna happen later, you know? Um, but really, I feel like chapter 7 was pretty straightforward. I mean, it was not really much for me to go over in that one. But chapter 8, man, she gets into the end of self-betrayal. And the thing that stood out to me the most, oh my gosh, was the story of her being a professor and her having students who talked about their sexual assault. And she ends up running out the room unexplained, passes out in the hallway, also be taken to the hospital and find out that she has significant scar tissue in her uterus or in her canal. Maybe it's her vaginal canal. She has all the scar tissue from and like an unborn child. And I was like, oh, heck no. So then, because, and this is what my therapist taught me, that if you have a suppressed memory, anything can trigger this memory to come to life. That could be smells, that could be what you see, what you hear. It's all about sensory. And for her, these women telling this story, dog,
Yeah, it's like triggers. They're triggers.
the triggers, the fact that them telling her the story had her now remembering these issues with her father. I'm like, bro, your father freaking molested you as a child, sexually assaulted your own daughter. Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, before I get married, I'm finna do a whole background on your ass. Like, bro, you're not. I'm going to interview family members, bro, because this is your own child and you choose to violate her and take her childhood away. And now these memories are coming back. And it's like, it's a double-edged sword because yes, you're able to get through the trauma, but you're also remembering the trauma as if it just happened because you're not remembering. The brain suppresses things to protect you as a child. And oh yeah, like the lies that we tell to ourselves as children, or like the things that the people that we hurt first is us as kids. And it's so freaking true, man. There, I remember like I could understand so much of what she was saying because living with abuse is not easy. So telling ourselves that we're fine when we're not, going to school and having to put on this brave front is a way to protect ourselves. And even though it hurts so much because you're like wanting to reach out for help, but it's like, you know, it could be a situation like how Martha was with her mom. And she told her mom, and her mom wasn't even surprised, bruh. I'm like, I'm never raising a family in Utah. I do not care. The whole state got egged out. It was never in the picture, though, to be fair. So I'm just being dramatic. Um, but yeah, so she's talking about Okay. Oh, okay. So she's talking about how her father wasn't even, her mother wasn't even surprised by what her father was doing. And that the mom, when she decided to go tell her that she was gonna go to therapy, the mom, treacherous ass, starts going to other people and telling them not to believe her. You're so willing to uphold a lie or actually uphold a truth. No, no, no. Uphold a lie to protect your image from the truth. Who cares? If this man is in the church molesting children, people need to know. But the fact that her Martha's intention was not sounding like she was trying to go and, put her father on the cross. It was more like, I need to get through this. So it just
Yeah,
really
help me. Yeah, I agree.
helped me, right? I need help to get through this because to remember after so many decades of what your father, like she's already had 3 kids by this point. So her remembering this is so painful and it's so hard to hear. Um, it's just hard because you would assume that the mom would be in full support and she wasn't. But then Martha starts going through the motions of everything and uncovering the web and the lies that, she told herself and she had that spiritual epiphany, if you will. She had that epiphany in her dream, or that like spiritual awakening in her dream, where she said that what the light came above her, and she's like, did something happen in surgery, or like, because this is what happened to me in the dream. I may need medication. Like she's having such a profound shift once, oh my God, it's so crazy. Once the surgery was complete, in the midst of the surgery, she's having this dream, which is like symbolically releasing all this pain and for her to be able to start fresh. Because in these moments, you kind of really do have to just kind of start over from the beginning. It's just not the full on beginning. Your foundation is laid, but maybe you had to go into the foundation and repair some cracks. And that's what she was talking about in chapter 8, removing the self betrayal. But it's like you don't do it on purpose though, especially as a child. So we do have to protect our children at the end of the day, because as a child, you are doing this to survive, not necessarily because you want to lie or be in this position. It just happens. And it's really unfortunate. But I'm actually really grateful that she talked about that, because I could see where by walking back the cat and uncovering these moments that you could start snipping and cutting at them. So very powerful stuff. Yeah, powerful. That's all for me. Oh, no, 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 no. Then she starts talking. Well, okay, I'm not gonna lie. When she starts talking about religion and stuff, that one always gets me, because listen, I love history and theology. I love learning about everything. And a huge moment for me was when I coincidentally read Lies My Teacher Told Me. And that was one of the books that blew up my belief system, that and The Artist's Way. Those 2 books blew up my belief systems, because for so long as a kid, I always had a huge issue with religion. Not because I didn't believe in God or spirit or anything like that, but because I had questions that I was forced not to ask, because I'm supposed to have like full on trust and faith. Now, obviously, Marcus B, you're very different in that way. You are a very faith-driven man, as am I, just more like there's a lot of things that I do question in the Bible. There's a lot of things that I am not going to just take for just reading it out of this book. I want to know. And I go through it, and that is a more very spiritual endeavor for me because I get to learn truly about like what it means to be on this earth and have a purpose and live in spirit. And it is all so impactful to me. But when she was talking about like certain things, like for her, especially being in the Mormon church, being a scholagic woman and having an entire religion that you're a part of tell you you cannot be this. So like the cognitive dissonance within like myself and hearing this made me feel a lot stronger in my faith in faith. Yeah. Because now I know again that it may not be everyone's journey, but it's my journey. So my journey is to, yes, have faith. That's why my name is Imani, but also trust in what I'm learning and allow it to guide me rather than hear something. And this goes for anything across the board. Hear something, automatically believe it, and live by that because these things can be toxic to us. It can be so toxic to us that it creates the freaking turmoil within, and then that then ensues upon your life. And that, I don't want that. I don't want it. So love this I love this book. So far, this is like my favorite book in a long time. I can't remember the last one. Yeah, I can. That John C. Maxwell we read last year. That was freaking good. The green one. The power. Nah.
That's the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Bingo. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one.
No, it's fire. No, and I like this book a lot as well. Like I said, I feel like there's a big parallel to the power of awareness. Like it's gaining a level of identity of what is versus what you feel or the perceptions that keep you from being in a more integritous way of living. Um,
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
allows us to be more purposeful, you know?
A lot of duality in these two books. And even a lot of duality in winning too, but just it's more so like a precursor to winning because once you know exactly what you want and what you want to go for, nothing should be stopping you at all. So like
Yeah,
these
yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I feel like, you know, we saw how you can get into higher areas of influence and reach levels of success, but it still have a void within your life where you almost get to a point of losing it when you don't
yeah,
identify or heal from certain things in the way that Will described his story and where he was at. Um, but and like just to touch on, because I know you talked about like the severe gun for it, get it done. There is no aspect. I do think that the overall purpose of the book winning was to understand if you're going to operate at a level that not everybody is going to be at, and you are to be the top of your game in whatever industry, whatever you're going after, it does require a level of intentionality and focus that most people are just not willing to give, which is why he broke down the mindsets and the consistency, the discipline, and the overall perspectives that the greats that everybody learned from or respected lived by, so that we had a clear understanding of what it does take. And I think this in tandem with that, because he did bring, like, although he said that balance was bullshit, he did, however, talk about understanding where you're at, getting through hell, or deciding to stay there, and then being mindful of the relationships that you have and the reasons why you're doing it, right? So
yeah,
it's like it's a dynamic. I don't think it's a balance. It's a
yeah.
simultaneous uh, existence of polar opposites at times that need to coexist, which is why
That's balance.
no, it's not. It's not balanced at all.
That is balance in my eyes. I'm like it is. Oh my God.
Okay,
Because then
so
he
what's
even
the
talks about rest.
what's the
He even talks about rest too, and that how rest is very important for your recovery process to be able to push yourself even more.
yeah. So look, let me
I'm
see.
looking
Let me
up.
see. Balance.
Looking up the different. Are you looking at the definition? I'll do it because you're driving.
Yeah,
Definition.
balance.
An
There
even
might be a.
distribution. An even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright or steady. Okay, that's a noun. A condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions. Keep or
I don't think it's equal is what I'm saying. I think there's a dynamic that exists because and there's certain seasons where you implement rest, but you're on the go. Or things can be chaotic and in the moment you breathe and things can be peaceful. But I think it's a requirement of being able to operate when things aren't in what our minds want to perceive as perfectly equal or balanced. I think that's what he was coming towards when I think about the book and think about the book we read there. Uh, dude, I really have to go to the restroom.
dang. He didn't go. He did go before you left?
Did, but I gotta go
Dang.
again. The coffee messed with me.
Damn that French press.
Um, damn French press. Nah, but yeah, no, I think it's a coexistence of the of everything that we've been reading thus far that's going to get us to where we need to be. And the deep work, once you've done it and you walk in integrity, you can operate in a winning mindset and a consistent given effort because you're doing it in more authenticity than you are without.
Facts. Because you're
So
not split up in the middle of like what you want to do and what you think you should do and who's telling you what you should do and da da
yeah,
da da da.
but in the seasons of like you're like, okay, I need to do these things. This is what is required of me. You can't operate at the highest level if you're not integritous. So there is a season where you have to do the deep work and dive into uncovering the things that truth when they're lies and vice versa.
Yeah, facts.
Uncover
Facts.
lies that are truth. Both
God.
seasons might require more rest and more thought process than it is activity, you know? So
Yeah.
like in the other opposite, I it's just I really do believe that there's no such thing as balance. I think there is an essential aspect of how you it. But that being said, I think we're almost done with this book. We got the last chapters next week. 9 and 10.
No way.
9 and
Oh,
10. 9 and 10.
that's so sad. I don't want it to be
9 and 10.
over.
9 and 10.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Or unless I planned out the book incorrectly, but I checked the chapters. Next week's 9 and 10.
Why do I have so many chapters left on my
Maybe I'm tripping.
audio? I have at least one, two, three, four, five, six,
Okay, maybe I'm tripping.
7 chapters left.
Whoa. Well, we're already on page 175 or like 176 or something.
That's so crazy because now I'm wondering.
Okay, I'll double check whenever I get home when I have the actual book on hand.
Yeah.
Because I had it earlier, but I just checked the chapters. But just a heads up, in case that we are almost done, the next book is called um, Intensity by, no, I lied. It's Instinct by T.D. Jakes.
Oh yeah. I forgot we chose that book. What did you want to ask me about dating?
Right. Okay, hold on. Well, recording later. Much love to you. God
Bye.
bless you. Bye. Hold on. We'll let you know.
Recording
Want to
stop.
know.
Recording
Hold
in
on.
progress.
Recording progress. Make post.
Is it on your computer? Is that why you can't stop it?
Yes, not.
Hold on, I got you.
Okay.
1 second.
525,600 minutes. Aha, he's got it. By George.